Welcome to the new podcast, In the Garden with Susan. I'm your host, Susan Ladner. I will aim to bring you top quality information on how to save open pollinated seeds, grow a garden, and preserve what you grow. Every Wednesday, I'll be sharing practical tips and techniques to help you on your journey to food security. Join me as I preserve the abundance of produce that my garden provides. Learn new ways of putting food away for the winter and some old ways that are from another century. You can find this podcast on Shopify and at my website. Come on, let's go wander down to the garden and awaken the dreams, history, and love that is held inside every seed. Hello, and welcome to another edition of In the Garden with Susan. And first off, I just must apologize that it has taken me so long to get this episode out. I cannot believe how busy I've been. For any of my listeners that don't know, I live 100% off grid. And so it's been all about the wood lately. I've been trying to get wood inside, and some of the wood that I have, I wouldn't say it's completely dry. So I've been trying to get it in and around the wood stove, get it dry, collect a lot of spring water, because I'm expecting a lot of snow this winter. And I'm just not sure the spring where I go to is, I would say, maybe 40 minutes away. And I'm a little worried about getting there sometime. So I'm trying to get everything organized. So if I get snowed in, I'm okay. And for any seed orders I have, I will just walk them up to the mailbox and I'll put them in the mailbox. That is when the postal strike is over, which I'm really hoping that is soon. And to any of my listeners who have made orders lately, I know I did receive an email last night from a woman who placed an order wondering if everything went okay, because I have left everything on hold. And maybe I should be contacting everyone, but I did put it on my website that all orders will go out as soon as the strike is over. So thank you all for your patience during this time. And so, yeah, long story short, I've been trying to get ready for winter. I'm trying to get a lot of the seeds cleaned. I still have seeds everywhere. Like it's not even funny. There's paper bags of seeds and boxes with seeds in them that need cleaning. I still have tomatoes that I have to ferment. So it's progress every day. I get a little bit done. I'm trying to get more stuff into the website as I can. And so as I've been doing things, I'm just losing the whole day. And so I keep putting off this podcast. But here we are. And this is a podcast I'm excited about because I don't know a lot about Oca. And I know there are two different ways to say it. I have heard it pronounced Oca, and I have seen the pronunciations are Oca. I prefer Oca. I'm not sure why. Saying Oca, it's kind of awkward. It doesn't come out of my mouth very smoothly saying Oca. But so I'm going to say Oca. If any of my listeners think this is completely wrong and I'm totally butchering it, please leave a note or send me a message and let me know. Or if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment and tell me if I'm not saying this right. Because honestly, I do not know a lot about this plant. And I did make a YouTube short about it in the summertime when I found out the leaves were edible. And I know I said Oca in it because I wanted to be correct. However, I cannot continue with that pronunciation. It's too hard for me. But anyway, this, I know it's a very rare, well, it is rare in Canada. And that's another thing I'd like to say. If any of my listeners that are in Canada right now have any variety that is not Mexican red. I have the Mexican red. I'm really interested in acquiring them. I just think they are such a beautiful tuber, and the fact that the leaves are edible, like, I just think that this is such a powerful plant. I haven't been able to eat any yet, sadly, because I did not water. Well, this was one of the plants I had to decide what got water in the garden because I didn't have enough to water the garden with, and I wasn't watering the oca, and then they did start to like fade, and so I tried to get some water on there, but I think it was a little too late. So some of my tubers are small, and some of the I've already all the large tubers are sold out. I have some tiny ones, but I think I will list those in the spring and see how they come through winter. And so, yeah. So I guess we'll just get into it. So, long story short, I've not been able to try any yet. I'm a little disappointed because I did lose, there were about 3 plants that didn't really produce any tubers. I think it was, well, they just didn't get enough water. So the oca is a tuber crop, and it's native to the Andes Mountains in South America, and it has been cultivated for centuries, primarily in regions of modern-day Peru, Bolivia, and Ecuador. And so the history is that it's thought to have been domesticated thousands of years ago by indigenous peoples of the Andes. And they valued its ability to thrive in high altitude environments with poor soils and variable climates. And it played a crucial role in Andean agriculture alongside other staples like potatoes, quinoa, and maize. Its cultivation was integral to the diet and culture of pre-Columbian civilizations, including the Incan Empire. And oca was celebrated for its versatility and resilience. It was often grown in rotation with potatoes and other tubers, helping to maintain soil fertility. It was consumed in various forms: fresh, boiled, baked, or dried. And when dried and exposed to sunlight, a process called calla, it develops a sweet flavor due to the breakdown of starch into sugars. After the Spanish conquest of the Andes in the 16th century, oca became less prominent in some regions as European crops such as wheat and barley were introduced. However, oca continued to be a staple for many indigenous communities, especially in remote areas, preserving its traditional role in local diets and agriculture. In the 19th century, oca was introduced to other parts of the world, including New Zealand, where it became known as the New Zealand yam. It was valued for its productivity and its adaptability to temperate climates. In New Zealand, oca has been integrated into local cuisine and is now a popular crop, particularly in regions like Canterbury. Oca is experiencing a revival as part of global interest in traditional and underutilized crops. Its rich nutritional profile, high in carbohydrates, vitamin C, and dietary fiber, and unique flavor have garnered attention from chefs and food enthusiasts. Researchers and farmers are also exploring oca as a sustainable alternative to more resource-intensive crops, as it requires fewer inputs and can grow in challenging conditions. In the Andes, oca remains a vital part of indigenous food systems and is often sold in local markets. Its vibrant colors, ranging from yellow and orange too pink and purple, and distinctive tangy taste are highly valued. Oca is celebrated in festivals and traditional dishes, maintaining its connection to Andean heritage. Oca's rich history and adaptability make it an enduring symbol of Andean agriculture and cultural resilience. And so I wanted to know a little bit about the Mexican red variety because that's the one I grow. And it is a distinctive variety of Oca, and it is valued for its striking appearance, flavor, and versatility. So the tubers of the Mexican red Oca are typically small to medium size and have a vibrant red skin. Like they are beautiful. I tell you, uh, they are. It is really a vibrant color. Some may feature subtle variations in hues, such as pinkish tones or fine striations, and that is something I noticed also. The flesh inside is usually creamy white to pale yellow, offering a striking contrast to the colorful skin. When fresh, Mexican red Oca, it has a tangy, lemony flavor due to its oxalic acid content. Cooking softens the acidity, resulting in a mild, nutty taste with a hint of sweetness, especially when roasted or baked. Like other Oca varieties, it is rich in carbohydrates, vitamin C, and dietary fiber, making it a nutritious food source. It is low in fat and provides essential minerals like iron and potassium. Now, about the adaptability of this tuber, it will thrive in a high altitude, cool climate, but can also be cultivated in temperate regions with the right care. It is grown from tubers rather than seeds, typically planted in early spring, and the plants require well drained soil and plenty of sunlight. It produces multiple tubers per plant, maturing in about 6 to 8 months, and the bright red color of the tubers develops more vividly after a few days of sun curing post harvest. Now, for uses in the kitchen, it's very versatile and can be used similarly to potatoes. Common preparations include boiling, baking, roasting, or frying. And when roasted, its natural sweetness intensifies, making it a delightful addition to salads, stews, or side dishes. And in traditional Andean cuisine, it may be sun-dried to produce kaya, which will enhance its sweetness. And so, while its use is rooted in Andean traditions, the vibrant red color makes it appealing in modern gastronomy. I can't say that word right now. Where it is often used as a visual and flavorful highlight in gourmet dishes. The Mexican red variety is prized for its eye-catching color, which makes it a favorite among farmers markets, vendors, and home gardeners looking for unique heirloom crops. Its tangy sweet flavor and versatility in the kitchen contribute to its growing appeal in global cuisines. So I really wanted to know mostly about how do you grow these tubers, harvest and store them, because I'm not sure if I got it right this year. I really thought that I would have done better with them. Don't get me wrong, there were tubers. I thought they were like potatoes. I thought you just throw them in the ground and there you go. So let's find out how you do it properly. Growing, harvesting, and storing Oca involves straightforward steps making it a rewarding crop for gardeners. And so first, you want to select your tubers, and you want to start with healthy tubers, of course, and they should be small, firm, and free from blemishes or rot. And your site selection, Oca thrives in a cool, frost-free climate, making it ideal for high altitudes or temperate regions. It is frost sensitive during its growing period, but will tolerate light frosts near harvest. And I found that, like, these guys, they wouldn't die out there. I was waiting to harvest some of them till they did die down, and I ended up having to dig them out of the snow to dig them, even in the dark. It was not a very nice experience, but the one night it was going to go down to -7, and I still had them out there, and I didn't want to lose what I had. And so I was out there late at night with the headlamp and digging around in the soil. And yeah, um, they were still alive. The foliage was like they never actually died down. So I think they tolerate a little more than light frost near harvest because they were still going. And for the soil, you want well-drained, loamy soil with slightly acidic to neutral pH. 5.5 to 7 is best, and you want to avoid heavy waterlogged soils. And so they do like a sunny location, as this is ideal, although they can tolerate partial shade. Now, for planting them, you want to plant them in the spring after the risk of frost has passed and soil temperatures reach around 12 degrees Celsius. You will space the tubers about 12 inches apart in rows spaced 18 to 24 inches apart, and bury them about 2 to 4 inches deep. Now, for caring for them, you're going to want to keep the soil moist but not waterlogged. Reduce the watering as harvest approaches to avoid rot. And this is where I think I went wrong. These guys were bone dry for most of the season. Well, I didn't even water them until they started to look like they were dying. So right there, like that's it. That's what I did wrong. You need to keep the soil moist but not waterlogged. Um, and I don't think I had that soil moist for them. I don't even think they actually ever were watered properly until the rains came. And then here it says reduce watering as harvest approaches. And that's when they were just like downpoured on. Like it was just too much rain all at the end. And weeding, you want to mulch around the plants to suppress weeds and retain moisture. And Oca benefits from a balanced fertilizer or compost at planting and mid-season. And there's something else I did wrong. I put them in brand new ground. I did not fertilize them, and I did not feed them once. So here we go. The growth of the oca tubers, they will produce clover-like leaves and spread out as a ground cover. And I noticed that as they were spreading, they were rooting into the ground and making little tubers down there. It was very interesting. And so tubers develop late in the growing season, often after the days shorten in autumn. For harvesting them, you want to harvest the oca after the foliage dies back or is killed by frost, typically 6 to 8 months after planting. And the only foliage that died back were the plants that died on me because they had no water, and there was no tubers under there at all. And then the plants I left in the ground, they didn't die back. So I think they were also protected under the snow. Like there was quite a heavy dump that went on top of them. I think this is why they actually did not die back. And then the tubers will form and swell in the final weeks. So avoid harvesting prematurely. And this is huge. I tell you, I did dig up a plant because I didn't know. I had no idea. I knew that you should leave them in the ground till they died back, and I was waiting and waiting, but I just really wanted to see. And so I dug a hill up and they were smaller. And so the plants that I waited until like I could wait no longer, they had some nice sized tubers in there. Like they had a lot bigger tubers than the tubers I dug up prematurely. So that's something to remember if you're growing them. Let them go as long as you can, because that's when they're growing, and you'll have a much better harvest. And so you'll want to dig gently around the plants using a garden fork or spade, taking care not to damage the tubers, and shake off excessive soil and inspect the tubers for damage or pests. Then you're going to place the tubers in sunlight for a few days, 5 to 10 days, to enhance their sweetness. And this process converts some of the starches into sugars and protect the tubers from frost and excessive moisture during curing. Now, for storing them, you're going to want to brush off any remaining soil. Do not wash them until ready to use, as moisture can lead to spoilage. And sort and discard damaged or rotting tubers. You want to store them at 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, similar to how you would store potatoes. Maintain high humidity, 85 to 90%, to prevent dehydration, and have them in a cool, dark, and well-ventilated space like a root cellar or a refrigerator works best. Properly stored, Oca tubers can last for several months. Regularly check for signs of rot or sprouting, and then you'll reserve some of the healthiest tubers for replanting next season. And what's interesting here is when I was looking up, right now I have all the tubers because I still have all the orders, and I have them they are in some sawdust. Like that's what I was reading, because you don't want to put them in a bag or with damp peat moss or anything like that, which is how I have a lot of, not my potatoes, of course. Like I know how they say store them like potatoes, but I have them because I don't want them to dry out, because they're just so rare, and I can't lose these guys. So I do have them in um, wood chips, and I have them sitting at the back of my place. And I will have to check on them just to make sure they're doing okay. But they are cool back there. And so some tips for success is you want to avoid planting oca in the same spot every year to reduce the risk of pests and soil depletion. And oca grows well with other root crops, but avoid planting them near nitrogen demanding plants like corn. And while they are generally resilient to pests and diseases, you want to watch for aphids, slugs, and fungal diseases. Good airflow and spacing will help prevent these problems. And now I want to know like some of the recipes to use with them. Even though I don't have any extras, next year I'm going to plant way more plants. So these are some of the ways that you can use the oca in the kitchen. You can make roasted oca with garlic and herbs. And I'll put these recipes on my website if anyone's looking for them. But it's basically, you've got your oca tubers, olive oil, minced garlic, rosemary, thyme, and some fresh ground pepper and salt, and you're just gonna roast them in the oven. There is oca mash, which is a tangy and creamy alternate to mashed potatoes. It's basically you're mashing the oca tubers like you would potatoes. There is an oca salad with lemon vinaigrette, and this sounds delicious. It's sort of like a little bit like a potato salad, but not really. And this is a fresh and vibrant salad that highlights oca's tanginess. And you have oca tubers, 1 cup of mixed greens such as arugula, spinach, or lettuce, a half a red onion, thinly sliced, a small cucumber diced, olive oil, lemon juice, Dijon mustard, a little bit of honey, salt, and pepper. And you're going to wash and boil the oca tubers for 10 to 15 minutes until tender. Let them cool, then slice into bite-sized pieces. Make your dressing, and then toss the cooked oca, mixed greens, onion, and cucumber in a bowl and put on the dressing. Like, that is very different. So that might be extremely delicious. I'd like to try that. I found a recipe for crispy oca fries. And this is a fun and crunchy snack or side dish. And you have your oca tubers, olive oil, paprika, garlic powder, salt, and pepper. And you're going to wash and slice the oca tubers into thin slices or wedges. Toss them in your olive oil and spices and arrange them on a baking tray and bake them for 20 minutes, 25 minutes, flipping them halfway through. There is a sweet candied oca, and this highlights oca's natural sweetness with a dessert-like treat. And you have your oca tubers, 3 tablespoons of honey or maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, a tablespoon of butter is optional, and a pinch of salt. And you will wash and boil your oca tubers until tender, which is about 15 minutes. Drain and let them cool slightly. Heat honey or maple syrup with butter, cinnamon, and a pinch of salt in a pan over low heat. Add the cooked oca to the pan and toss to coat in the glaze. Cook 2 to 3 minutes, stirring occasionally until the glaze thickens and the oca becomes glossy, and serve warm as a side dish or a dessert. Very interesting. So I wanted to look at the traditional, because I don't think those were the way that they ate those traditionally. It just doesn't. I'm sure that there was some better, well, not better, but different ways that they ate them, more simplified. You know what I mean? And this is what I found for the traditional. The first recipe is for sun-dried oca. It's called kaya, I hope, or kaya, or kaya. I don't. Maybe that's it. And maybe it's not even close to how it's pronounced. But this is a traditional Andean method to preserve and sweeten oca. And you take your fresh oca tubers, you wash them thoroughly and scrub them to remove dirt. And then you spread the tubers on a clean surface under the sun. Leave them exposed to the sun for several days to a week, depending on the climate. Turn the tubers regularly to ensure even drying. And during this process, the starches in the oca convert to sugars, creating a sweeter flavor. Once they are dried, store the kaya in a cool, dry place. And to use it, you can rehydrate it by boiling or used in stews and soups. And it can also be eaten as a sweet snack. Now, that sounds amazing for food security. You know, like your sun drying your oca tubers, and then you can just throw them into your soups and stews, or even eaten as a sweet snack. I'm really interested in trying this. Like, this sounds to me like something that we really want to have, especially since oca is able to be grown in such adverse climates. The next recipe I found, I'm not even going to try and say the name. Well, maybe I could, but I'm not going to. It is Andean earth oven with oca. And so this is a communal dish traditionally cooked in a makeshift earthen oven. And you take your oca tubers, you have potatoes, sweet potatoes, or other tubers are optional, and then meat or vegetables, optional for variety. And you prepare your oven by digging a shallow pit and lining it with stones. And then build a fire to heat the stones thoroughly. Once the fire burns out, the stones will retain the heat needed for cooking, and place the oca and other tubers, if using, on the hot stones. Cover them with soil or sod to trap the heat and steam. Allow the tubers to bake in the residual heat for 1 to 2 hours. Then you'll uncover and serve the cooked oca warm, and this process gives it a smoky, earthy flavor. Wow. Like, that is as natural as you can get. What a great recipe for, if, just living. Well, I find it may be interesting because I live off grid. So this is something I could see myself doing, even though I have a sun oven and I cook in a sun oven. But what if something happens and you just have these tubers? Something to do. Here's another recipe. I'm a little worried about saying the name. Oluquito with oca. And this is a hearty stew featuring oca and uh, oluku, which is another Andean tuber. And so you're going to take your oca and peeled and sliced into thin rounds. You're going to take your oluku or substitute with potatoes and thinly slice them. Then you're going to take some optional beef or llama meat, an onion finely chopped, cloves of garlic minced, a tablespoon of yellow chili paste. You can have some vegetable or beef broth, oil, salt, and pepper. And basically, it looks like you're making this into a stew, and you can serve it with rice or quinoa. Now we have another recipe, which is Andean soup with oca. And this is a traditional soup featuring a mix of tubers, grains, and meats. And basically, we have all the things that you would put into soup. You've got oca, potatoes. They do have some freeze-dried tomatoes here. Or sorry, freeze-dried potatoes, beef or lamb, barley or wheat berries, carrot, onion, cumin, oregano, salt, pepper, and water or broth. And so you're just putting that all together in your soup. And then this sounds very interesting. This recipe is sweet oca pudding. And it is a dessert similar to the traditional Andean corn puddings, but it's made with oca. And you have your oca peeled and boiled, a cup of milk or water, half a cup of unrefined cane sugar or brown sugar, 1 cinnamon stick, and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And so you're going to whip that up into your pudding. And so basically, I think, yeah, that's all the information that I found. I think there could be more. I tried to search out as many recipes as I could find, but I mean, if anybody knows of any other traditional ways that oca was used, I would love to hear about it. Other than that, oh my goodness, I was thinking this was going to be a short show today, and here it's not. We're right on time. I hope everyone is enjoying this should be a break. I know it's American Thanksgiving, and I know the storms are starting to hit, and people in Canada, we're starting to see the snow coming. And so I hope everyone's staying warm and cozy and cleaning your seeds and getting them all into jars, or enjoying the fruits of your harvest and making some wonderful soups and whatnot from your garden harvest. I will talk to you next week, and I will see you in the garden.
In the mountains high and steep rose a treasure rich and deep. Oca's glory runs so sweet, tumbling down our gardens keep. Red as passion, bold and bright, from the Andes kissed by light. Garden fairies give to share, magic found in crimson flare. Roast them up, mash them down, in this root our joy is found. From the soil to the plate, nothing tastes so good, so great. Every plant a feast to see, leaves and stems a jubilee. From the roots to verdant green, nature's bounty tastes supreme. Soft as whispers, sweet as dreams, through the kitchen laughter streams.